My daughter ghosted me for 10 years after a nasty divorce. Now she's back, but only for the inheritance. I gave her a reality check she never expected. I'm a 52-year-old man, and I've been estranged from my daughter Lily, 26F, for the past 10 years. It's been a long and difficult journey, and I'm writing this post because I'm at a crossroads and could use some outside perspective. To give you some background, I was married to my ex-wife, Karen, 50F, for 20 years. We met in college. I was studying construction management, and she was majoring in journalism. We fell in love quickly and got married right after graduation. We had Lily when we were both in our mid-20s, and for a long time I thought we were happy. I started working as a contractor, which meant long hours and sometimes being away from home for extended periods. It was tough, but I was determined to provide a good life for my family. I remember coming home late at night, exhausted but happy to see Karen and little Lily. Those early years were challenging but filled with love. Karen decided to be a stay-at-home mom when Lily was born. She had always wanted to write a novel, and we thought this arrangement would give her time to pursue that dream while taking care of our daughter. I supported her decision fully, working even harder to make sure we were financially stable. As Lily grew older, I tried my best to be present for the important moments. I never missed a school play or a parent-teacher conference. But I can't deny that my work took up a lot of my time. I thought Karen understood, and she never complained. Looking back, maybe that should have been a red flag. About 12 years ago, I discovered that Karen had been cheating on me with multiple men for years. It wasn't just a one-time thing or a recent development. She had been living a double life almost since Lily was born. I found out when I came home early from a job site and overheard her on the phone with one of her lovers. The things she said. It was like I didn't even know the woman I had been married to for nearly 2 decades. Felt like my whole world collapsed. All those years of hard work, of thinking we were building a life together, suddenly felt like a lie. I confronted her and things quickly spiraled out of control. Karen didn't even try to deny it. She said she felt neglected, that I was never there, that she needed more than I could give her. It was like a knife to my heart. I started drinking heavily to cope with the pain and anger. I'm not proud of it, but I was lost. We separated and the divorce process was ugly and drawn out. Karen used her journalism contacts to spread rumors about me in our community. Suddenly, I was the bad guy, the neglectful husband who drove his wife to seek comfort elsewhere. It was infuriating and humiliating. During this time, Lily was 16 and caught in the middle of it all. I was so consumed by my own pain that I didn't realize how much it was affecting her. Karen, being home more often, had a closer relationship with Lily and managed to convince her that I was the bad guy in the situation. She told Lily that I had neglected the family for years, and that my drinking was proof that I didn't care about them. I tried to explain my side of the story to Lily, but she was angry and hurt. She refused to listen and eventually cut off all contact with me. The last time I saw her was at her high school graduation, where she barely acknowledged my presence. I remember standing there, watching her accept her diploma, feeling like a stranger at what should have been one of the proudest moments of my life. For years, I tried to reach out to Lily. I sent birthday cards, Christmas gifts, and even tried to contact her through social media, but she had blocked me everywhere. It was like I had ceased to exist in her life. Every year on her birthday, I would sit by the phone, hoping she might call. She never did. The pain of losing my daughter was almost worse than the divorce itself. I threw myself into work and tried to rebuild my life. I quit drinking and focused on my health. I even started volunteering at a local community center to keep myself busy. I thought, if I could just show Lily that I had changed, maybe she would give me another chance. My mother, Lily's grandmother, was my rock during this time. She was the only family I had left, and we grew very close. She often talked about Lily and how much she missed her. It broke my heart that they couldn't see each other. My mother never lost hope that Lily would come around eventually. 5 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It was a difficult time, and I became her primary caregiver. I moved her into my home and did my best to make her comfortable. As her condition worsened, she would often mistake me for my father and ask about Lily. It was heartbreaking to see her confusion and to have to remind her over and over that Lily wasn't in our lives anymore. I tried to reach out to Lily again during this time, thinking she might want to see her grandmother before the disease progressed too far. But my messages went unanswered. I left voicemails telling her about her grandmother's condition, hoping it might spark something in her. But there was only silence. My mother passed away 6 months ago. It was a devastating loss, and I felt more alone than ever. The funeral was small, just me and a few close friends. As I stood by her grave, I couldn't help but think about how Lily should have been there. My mother had loved her so much, and Lily didn't even know she was gone. I inherited my mother's estate, which included several rental properties and a significant amount of savings. It wasn't something I had ever counted on or needed, as I had always lived comfortably on my own income. My mother had been smart with her money, investing wisely over the years. I decided to keep managing the properties, seeing it as a way to honor her memory. Last week, out of the blue, I received a call from Lily. I almost didn't recognize her voice. She said she had seen on Facebook that her grandmother had passed away and wanted to check on me. I was shocked and cautiously hopeful. Her voice sounded different, more mature, of course, but also hesitant, almost nervous. We talked for a while, and she suggested meeting in person. I agreed, and she came over to my house for dinner last night. When I opened the door, it was like looking at a stranger. The last time I had seen her, she was a teenager. Now she was a grown woman. She looked so much like Karen that it almost took my breath away. At first, it was awkward and tense. We made small talk about her job, she's a teacher now, and my work. She's engaged now and planning her wedding for next year. I wanted to ask her so many questions, to bridge the gap of the last 10 years, but I held back, afraid of pushing too hard. As the evening went on, we finally addressed the elephant in the room. I asked her why she had cut me out of her life so completely. She said she regretted how things had turned out, and that she had been too young to understand the complexity of the situation. She admitted that her mother had influenced her perception of me, painting me as the villain in their story. I was starting to feel hopeful about rebuilding our relationship when Lily dropped a bombshell. She said that she had always assumed she would inherit her grandmother's estate, and was surprised when she wasn't contacted by any lawyers. She asked if I would consider sharing the inheritance with her, as she could use the money for her upcoming wedding, and to buy a house with her fiancé. I was stunned. After 10 years of no contact, this was why she had reached out. All the hope I had been feeling suddenly deflated. I told her that I needed time to think about it, and that I was disappointed that this seemed to be her primary motivation for reconnecting. Lily got defensive and said that the inheritance was secondary to wanting to rebuild our relationship. She said she had been meaning to reach out for years, but never found the right moment. She also mentioned that her mother had always told her that her grandmother wanted her to have the inheritance. I'm torn. On one hand, I've missed my daughter terribly, and want nothing more than to have her back in my life. I've dreamed of this moment for years, of having the chance to explain, to make things right. But on the other hand, I can't shake the feeling that she's only interested in the money. I don't know if I can trust her intentions. I haven't given her an answer yet about the inheritance. Part of me thinks that if I share it with her, it might open the door to rebuilding our relationship. But another part feels like I would be rewarding her for years of silence, and only reaching out when there was something to gain. I'm not sure what to do. Should I give her part of the inheritance? Should I try to rebuild our relationship regardless? Or should I protect myself from potentially being hurt again? The thought of losing her a second time is almost unbearable. But so is the idea of being used for money. Any advice would be appreciated. I've been carrying this weight for so long, and I just want to make the right decision. I want my daughter back, but I'm scared of being hurt again. I'm scared that if I say no to the inheritance, she'll disappear from my life again. But if I say yes, will our relationship ever be genuine? Update 1. It's been a week since my last post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It's given me a lot to think about, and I'm grateful for the different perspectives. After much consideration, I decided to meet with Lily again to have an honest conversation about everything. I invited her over to my house, thinking a neutral, private setting would be best for such a difficult discussion. I spent the day before her visit looking through old photo albums, reminiscing about the good times we had when she was young. It made me both hopeful and sad, thinking about all the years we've lost. When Lily arrived, I could tell she was nervous. She kept fidgeting with her engagement ring, a habit she's had since she was a child. We sat down in the living room, surrounded by photos of her growing up. I started by telling her how much I've missed her over the years, and how happy I was that she reached out. But I also expressed my concerns about her motivations, especially regarding the inheritance. To my surprise, Lily broke down in tears. She confessed that while the inheritance was initially what prompted her to contact me, she realized how much she had missed out on over the years. She told me about how she had struggled with guilt and confusion, especially as she got older and started to question the narrative her mother had fed her. Lily revealed that her relationship with Karen had become strained over the years. As an adult, she began to see through some of her mother's manipulations and realized that things weren't as black and white as she had been led to believe. She shared a memory from when she was 18, just after she had cut contact with me. She had found an old birthday card I had sent her, hidden in Karen's desk. It was the first time she realized that I had been trying to reach out all along. She also shared something that shocked me. Karen had remarried a few years ago to a man who turned out to be controlling and verbally abusive. Lily said she often found herself wondering what I would have done or said in certain situations, and it made her realize how much she missed having a father figure in her life. She talked about a particularly bad fight between Karen and her stepfather, where she had almost called me but lost her nerve at the last minute. I listened to everything Lily had to say, and I could feel my heart softening. I shared with her some of my own struggles over the years, my battle with alcoholism after the divorce, my loneliness, and the pain of losing my mother. I told her about all the times I had tried to reach out, and how much it hurt when she didn't respond. I showed her the box where I had kept all the returned birthday and Christmas cards, each one a painful reminder of our estrangement. We both ended up crying and hugging each other. It felt like 10 years of pain and misunderstandings were finally being addressed. Lily apologized for believing her mother's lies, and I apologized for not fighting harder to stay in her life. It was a cathartic moment for both of us. After we had calmed down, we talked about the inheritance. I explained to Lily that while I understand why she might have thought she was entitled to it, legally and ethically it belongs to me. I told her that I had already made plans for most of the money, including setting up a scholarship fund in my mother's name at the local community college where she used to teach. However, I also told Lily that I would be happy to help her with her wedding expenses and contribute towards a down payment on a house, not as an inheritance, but as a gift from a father to his daughter. I made it clear that this was not conditional on our relationship, but something I wanted to do because I care about her. Lily was very grateful and apologized again for how she had approached the situation initially. We agreed to take things slow and work on rebuilding our relationship. She showed me pictures of her fiancé and told me about their plans for the future. It was bittersweet, realizing how much of her life I had missed, but I was grateful for the chance to be part of it now. We've made plans to meet regularly, and Lily has even suggested that we could start seeing a family therapist together to work through some of our issues. She mentioned that she's been in therapy herself for the past year, dealing with the aftermath of her mother's manipulation and her stepfather's abuse. I'm proud of her for taking that step and agreed that professional help might be good for us too. Before Lily left, we looked through some of the old photo albums together. There were so many memories: her first steps, her first day of school, family vacations. It was emotional for both of us, but it also felt like the beginning of healing. Lily asked if she could borrow one of the albums, saying she wanted to remember the good times we had. I know we have a long way to go, and there will probably be more difficult conversations ahead, but for the first time in years, I feel like I have my daughter back. It's not perfect, and we both have a lot of healing to do, but it's a start. As I watched Lily drive away, I felt a mix of emotions: hope, fear, joy, and sadness. I'm cautiously optimistic about the future, but I'm also aware that we have a lot of work to do. I'm committed to being the father she needs now, even if I can't make up for the years we've lost. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It really helped me approach this situation with a clear head and open heart. I'll keep you updated on how things progress. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I wanted to share some recent developments. The past few weeks have been a roller coaster of emotions, with both highs and lows as Lily and I navigate our newfound relationship. Lily and I have been meeting regularly, usually once a week for dinner or coffee. We've been slowly getting to know each other again, sharing stories about our lives over the past decade. It's been both wonderful and painful, wonderful to be reconnecting, but painful to realize how much we've missed out on. Last week, she brought over her high school yearbook, and we spent hours going through it. She pointed out her friends, told me about her favorite teachers, and even showed me a picture of her at prom. It hurt to realize I had missed all of these important moments, but I'm grateful she's willing to share them with me now. Lily has been opening up more about her relationship with Karen. She told me about how, after the divorce, Karen would often badmouth me, telling Lily that I had abandoned them. It's hard to hear how my ex-wife poisoned my daughter against me, but I'm trying to focus on the present rather than dwelling on the past. Lily admitted that as she got older, she started to see inconsistencies in her mother's stories, which led her to question everything she'd been told. Last week, Lily invited me to meet her fiancé, Mark. We met at a local restaurant and I was nervous, to say the least. I spent hours beforehand trying to decide what to wear, what to say, how to act. I wanted to make a good impression, to show Lily that I could be the father she needed. Mark turned out to be a nice guy, an accountant who seems to genuinely care for Lily. He was respectful and seemed interested in getting to know me. We talked about his family, his job, and their plans for the future. It was surreal sitting there with my daughter and her future husband, feeling like a part of her life again. During dinner, Lily surprised me by asking if I would walk her down the aisle at her wedding. I was touched and agreed immediately. It feels like a big step in rebuilding our relationship. I couldn't help but think about how, just a month ago, I thought I'd never even be invited to her wedding, let alone play such an important role. However, not everything has been smooth sailing. Karen, my ex-wife, found out that Lily and I have reconnected. She called me furious, accusing me of trying to turn Lily against her. I tried to explain that wasn't the case, but she wouldn't listen. She brought up old arguments from our marriage, accusing me of neglect and emotional abandonment. It was like being transported back in time to our worst fights. I did my best to stay calm, but it was difficult not to get dragged into the old patterns. The next day, Lily called me upset. Apparently, Karen had called her too, telling her that I was manipulating her and that she shouldn't trust me. Lily assured me that she didn't believe her mother, but it's clear that Karen's interference is causing her stress. Lily told me about how Karen had threatened to cut her off if she continued to have a relationship with me. It's putting Lily in an impossible position, forced to choose between her parents. I'm worried about how this might affect our fragile reconciliation. Lily suggested that we stick to our plan of seeing a family therapist, thinking it might help us navigate these complicated dynamics. Our first session is scheduled for next week. I'm nervous about it, but I know it's necessary if we want to move forward in a healthy way. On a more positive note, I've started helping Lily plan her wedding. We've been looking at venues together, and it's been a great way to bond. Last weekend, we visited a beautiful outdoor garden that Lily fell in love with. As we walked around discussing seating arrangements and decorations, I felt a surge of fatherly pride. I've also made good on my promise to help with the expenses, which Lily has been very appreciative of. Lily has been sharing more about her life with me. She told me about her job as a high school English teacher and how she sometimes sees herself in her students. She admitted that she often thought of me when dealing with troubled teens, wondering if I had felt the same helplessness when she pushed me away. These conversations are bittersweet. I'm glad but they're also reminders of all the time we've lost. I'm trying to remain cautiously optimistic, but I can't help but worry about what other challenges we might face. Karen's reaction has reminded me of how messy things can get, and I'm concerned about how it might affect Lily. I don't want her to feel torn between her parents, but I also don't want to step back just because Karen is causing problems. For now, I'm focusing on taking things one day at a time and enjoying the time I get to spend with my daughter. It's more than I ever thought I'd have again, and I'm grateful for it. Next week, Lily wants to introduce me to some of her friends. It's a small step, but it feels significant, like she's really trying to integrate me back into her life. As I write this, I'm looking at a recent photo of Lily and me that we took during our last dinner. It's on my fridge now, a tangible reminder of the progress we've made. There's still a long road ahead, but for the first time in years, I feel hopeful about the future. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and a lot has happened. I wish I could say everything has been going smoothly, but we've hit some bumps in the road. The good news first, Lily's wedding planning is in full swing, and I've been involved every step of the way. We've chosen a venue, and Lily has asked me to help her pick out her wedding dress. It's been an emotional experience, and I'm looking forward to walking her down the aisle. Last week, we went to a bridal shop together. Watching Lily try on wedding dresses was surreal. I found myself tearing up, thinking about how I almost missed this moment. Lily and I have been spending more time together outside of wedding planning too. We've started a tradition of having Sunday brunch together. It's become something I look forward to all week. We talk about everything and nothing, her work, my projects, books we've read. It feels like we're making up for lost time. Now, for the challenging part. Remember how I mentioned Karen's interference? Well, it's gotten worse. She's been constantly calling and texting Lily, trying to guilt her about spending time with me. It's putting a lot of stress on Lily, and it's starting to affect our relationship. Last week, Lily canceled our brunch plans because Karen had shown up at her apartment unannounced and refused to leave. We've been seeing the family therapist regularly, which has been helpful in many ways. It's given us tools to communicate better and work through some of our past issues. However, it's also brought up a lot of painful memories and emotions. In our last session, the therapist suggested we talk about the day Lily decided to cut contact with me. It was a difficult conversation, bringing up feelings of anger, hurt, and regret on both sides. In that session, Lily admitted that she still harbors some resentment towards me for not fighting harder to stay in her life when she was younger. Even though she understands now that I tried, she said part of her still feels abandoned. It was hard to hear, but I'm glad she felt safe enough to express those feelings. She talked about how she used to wait by the phone on her birthday, hoping I'd call, not knowing that I was doing the same thing. On my part, I've had to confront some of my own lingering anger and hurt. I've realized that while I'm overjoyed to have Lily back in my life, I'm also scared of being hurt again. The therapist is helping me work through these fears, encouraging me to be open with Lily about my feelings. Last week, things came to a head when Karen showed up unannounced at my house while Lily was visiting. She was angry and demanded to be part of our reconciliation process. It turned into a heated argument with Lily caught in the middle. Karen accused me of trying to buy Lily's love with the promise of inheritance and wedding money. She brought up old grievances from our marriage, things I thought we'd left behind years ago. In the end, Lily stood up to her mother, telling her that she's an adult and can make her own decisions about who she wants in her life. It was a proud moment for me, but I could see how much it pained Lily to be in that position. After Karen left, Lily broke down crying, saying she felt torn between her parents and guilty for hurting her mother. After Karen left, Lily and I had a long talk. We both agreed that while we want to continue working on our relationship, we need to set some boundaries, especially when it comes to Karen's involvement. Lily suggested that we might need to take a step back from our frequent meetings, at least until things calm down with Karen. It hurt to hear, but I understand she's in a difficult position. We're taking things day by day. Some days are great, filled with laughter and new memories. Other days are tough, as we navigate the complicated emotions and dynamics of our family. Yesterday, Lily called me in tears after another fight with Karen. I felt helpless, wanting to fix everything for her, but knowing I can't. Despite the challenges, I'm still grateful for this second chance with my daughter. It's not easy, and it's not always pretty, but it's real. We're both committed to making it work, whatever that might look like. As Lily's wedding day approaches, I'm filled with a mix of emotions, joy, nervousness, and a deep sense of gratitude. No matter what happens, I'll always cherish this time I've had to reconnect with my daughter. I just hope that we can find a way to move forward that brings peace to all of us.